The hidden threat. The Galactic Council had always been confident in its power. For thousands of years, it had ruled the galaxy, keeping the peace between the many different species. There were disputes and disagreements, but the Council's authority had never been questioned. Their fleets were powerful, their alliances unbreakable, and their technology unmatched. No one could stand against them, until now. A quiet murmur had begun to spread across the galaxy, a whisper that seemed to come from nowhere. It started with small, unverified reports from distant star systems, but soon the talk began to grow louder. The rumors were strange, unsettling. They said Earth, a planet the Council had long considered backward and primitive, had a secret, something the galaxy had never seen before. Some said it was a weapon. Others spoke of a fleet unlike any other, but none of the Council's spies had confirmed it. Earth had remained silent, hidden in the shadows of the galaxy, its true capabilities unknown. Still, the rumors persisted. The Galactic Council ignored them at first. After all, Earth was just one small planet, isolated in a corner of the galaxy. It had no allies of note, no real influence. Its technology was nowhere near the level of the advanced species within the Council. Surely, if Earth had anything to show, it would have already done so. But what if they were wrong? A sudden signal, mysterious and brief, arrived at the heart of the Galactic Council. It was a transmission from Earth. The message was simple, barely more than a few words, but its meaning was clear. The message had one line: "Prepare for the awakening." The Council members were stunned. There had been no warning, no sign that Earth was capable of sending such a message. The transmission wasn't a plea for help or an offer of peace. It was a threat, or at least it seemed to be. But who would challenge the Galactic Council? And why would Earth be involved? The Council convened immediately. Representatives from every corner of the galaxy gathered in a massive chamber aboard the Council's flagship. There was unease in the air. Some of the species had heard the rumors, and now the signal had confirmed that something was happening on Earth, something big. The representatives began to speak in urgent whispers, debating what this new development meant for the galaxy. "I don't believe this," one representative from a powerful insectoid species said. "Earth has always been insignificant. How could they have anything that would threaten us?" Another member, a tall crystalline being from a distant star system, spoke with a voice full of calm certainty. "We cannot dismiss this." That message was not a cry for help. It was a statement. The humans are hiding something. We should investigate before it's too late. But the leader of the Council, a humanoid with deep green skin and silver eyes, spoke firmly. "We will send a delegation to Earth. We will demand an explanation. If they are hiding something, we will find out what it is. And if necessary, we will put an end to this threat." The Council members agreed. There was no need to jump to conclusions just yet. Earth's capabilities could easily be exaggerated. But the signal had made one thing clear. Earth was no longer the small, unimportant planet it had once been. In the weeks that followed, ships were dispatched to Earth, but the planet remained silent. No more messages came. It was as though Earth had disappeared entirely, hiding behind the walls of its own secrecy. The ships sent to investigate found nothing out of the ordinary, but still, the rumors grew. Whispers spread through the galaxy of strange movements on Earth, of advanced technology being assembled in secret. Every ship that returned reported seeing a planet more active, more prepared than they had ever expected. Back on Earth, the situation was just as tense. Governments across the planet had been preparing for this moment for years, though no one had ever truly believed it would come to pass. Earth's leaders knew that the time was near, the time to reveal what had been hidden for so long. But they also knew that the Council would not simply sit back and let Earth rise to power without a fight. In secret underground bunkers and hidden facilities, humanity had been building. For centuries, Earth had quietly studied alien technology, reverse engineering the most powerful weapons and ships it could find. The project was known only to a select few. those who were trusted with the knowledge that Earth had the power to not only defend itself, but to strike back against any threat. The world's greatest minds worked tirelessly, each discovery bringing humanity one step closer to a new kind of power. And now, it was time. Earth's superweapon, hidden for centuries, was ready. The Galactic Council might have dismissed Earth's potential, but they would soon learn just how wrong they had been. Humanity had spent millennia in the shadows, unnoticed, underestimated. But now, Earth was about to step into the light. The question was no longer whether Earth could stand up to the Council. It was whether the Council was ready for what was coming. The awakening. The Galactic Council's ships moved cautiously toward Earth, their engines glowing softly as they passed through the vast emptiness of space. For years, they had ruled the galaxy without challenge, confident in their might. But now, as they approached the small blue planet, their confidence was beginning to crack. No one knew what to expect from Earth. Would it be a peaceful meeting? Or was there something more dangerous lurking beneath the surface? Back on Earth, preparations were already underway. The world's leaders had been working in the shadows for years, quietly constructing a fleet and a force that could take on the entire galaxy if needed, while the rest of the world carried on with daily life. Unaware of the plans taking shape beneath their feet, the most brilliant minds were focused on one goal: to ensure Earth's survival, no matter the cost. Deep underground, in hidden military bases, human engineers worked tirelessly to complete their final preparations. The ships were ready. The technology was ready. All that remained was to reveal their true power to the galaxy and to the Galactic Council. As Earth's fleet waited, the first of the Council's ships entered Earth's atmosphere. The massive vessels, sleek and imposing, descended slowly toward the surface, their weapons powered down, ready to make contact. The Council's emissaries were prepared for diplomacy, but they were also cautious, knowing that the Earth was unpredictable. The first contact team, a group of highly trained diplomats and military officials, landed just outside a remote human city. They were escorted to a secure facility where they would meet with Earth's leaders and discuss the strange transmission they had received. As the Council representatives stepped out of their ship, they were greeted by a silent, waiting crowd of humans. The humans were calm, but there was something different about them. Their eyes, once filled with the confusion and fear of a primitive species, now seemed sharp and calculating. They had changed. The Council couldn't place it exactly, but they could feel the shift in the air. The humans were no longer the weak, helpless creatures they had once thought them to be. The Council leader, a stern, tall alien with long, flowing silver hair, stepped forward to speak. "We have come to understand what you have been hiding," she said, her voice cold but measured. "You've sent a signal. What is this awakening you spoke of?" A human leader, a man with dark hair and piercing blue eyes, stood up to meet her gaze. "You've underestimated us for far too long," he said simply. "And now you'll see what humanity is truly capable of." A ripple of unease passed through the Council members. There was no threat in his voice, no sign of hostility. But there was a quiet confidence that unnerved them. The man was not afraid of the Council, nor was he pleading for their mercy. He was speaking with the authority of someone who had something to prove. Then, without warning, the ground trembled beneath their feet. It wasn't an earthquake. It wasn't an accident. It was deliberate. The humans had activated something powerful. The Council representatives exchanged worried glances as they felt the vibrations deep within their bones. They had known that Earth had been hiding something, but they hadn't expected this. It wasn't just a fleet of ships that they were facing. It was something far more dangerous. From beneath the Earth's surface, deep within hidden bunkers and secret facilities, massive machines came to life. The world's greatest technological marvels, years in the making, began to rise from their resting places. Massive structures of metal and energy emerged from the ground, their lights flickering on as they powered up. The Earth's hidden military might was awakening, and the Council was standing right in the middle of it. The first of Earth's ships, a massive supercarrier, slowly lifted off from its underground dock. It was unlike anything the Council had ever seen before, sleek, heavily armed, and brimming with energy. Its hull shimmered with strange new alloys that the Council's scanners couldn't identify. It wasn't just a ship, it was a symbol that Earth was no longer the insignificant, weak planet they had once thought. "We've been preparing for this moment," the human leader said, his voice carrying across the silence. "You've had your time to rule. Now, it's our turn." The Council's fleet watched in shock as Earth's destroyers, sleek and terrifying, took flight. They moved with an efficiency that was unnerving, as if they had been built for a single purpose: to destroy. The air was thick with tension as Earth's weapon systems powered up, ready to face the Galactic Council head-on. In the distance, the massive supercarrier sent out a pulse of energy, a silent warning to the approaching ships. It was a signal that Earth was no longer afraid. The Galactic Council had misjudged humanity. They had underestimated the planet for too long. Now they were about to witness Earth's true power, and it was not something they could simply ignore. The first strike. The Galactic Council ships were positioned around Earth's orbit, their weapons powered down as they observed the growing spectacle below. They had expected Earth to be weak, perhaps reliant on outdated technology or primitive weapons, but what they saw now was far beyond their expectations. The human fleet had risen from the shadows like a sleeping giant, and its power was undeniable. The Galactic Council fleet remained still, waiting for Earth to make its first move. Their leaders, once confident in their superiority, now found themselves filled with uncertainty. No one spoke, but the silence was deafening. The reality of the situation had begun to settle in. Earth had not only hidden its strength, but it had also prepared for war. The human leader, standing at the helm of the supercarrier, looked out at the fleet, his eyes hard with resolve. He knew what was at stake. If they didn't strike first, Earth would be wiped out. The Galactic Council would not hesitate to destroy them if given the chance, and they had given Earth no choice but to act. The leader's voice echoed through the command center, calm but filled with authority. "Prepare the weapons," he ordered. "We are not here to negotiate." The silence was broken by the soft hum of machinery as the human fleet powered up. Earth's ships, armed with the most advanced weapon systems the galaxy had ever seen, came to life. The supercarrier's enormous engines roared as it powered forward, flanked by destroyers and smaller ships. The ground shook as massive turrets emerged from the ship's hull, their energy levels spiking. In the Council ships, the mood was tense. They had heard rumors of Earth's hidden arsenal, but seeing it in action was a different matter entirely. The sleek human ships were unlike anything they had encountered before, sleek and deadly, designed for precision and overwhelming force. There was no mistaking the message. Earth wasn't going down without a fight. As the supercarrier advanced, the Galactic Council fleet finally broke its silence. The largest ship, a massive vessel that dwarfed anything Earth had, sent a transmission across the void. "Earth," the voice crackled over the comms. "This is your final warning. Stand down and surrender. You are no match for the might of the Galactic Council." The human leader didn't flinch. He simply raised his hand, signaling for the transmission to be cut off. The message was clear. Earth wasn't afraid. Without further hesitation, the first strike came. The supercarrier unleashed a barrage of energy beams that ripped through space, striking the closest Council ship with devastating force. The ship's shields flared brightly, but they were no match for the intensity of Earth's weapons. The energy beams cut through its hull, sending shockwaves through the ship as it exploded in a blinding flash of light. The Galactic Council's fleet reeled back in shock. The sheer power of the human attack was beyond anything they had ever experienced. The ship that had been struck was lost in an instant, its debris scattering across space. But Earth wasn't finished. The destroyers moved swiftly, their weapons locking onto other Council ships. More energy beams shot forward, tearing through the darkness of space. The human ships moved with precision, firing in perfect coordination, as if they had been designed for this very moment. Another council ship was hit, its shields failing within seconds, and the ship erupted into flames as the core was breached. The remaining council ships scrambled to respond, but they were caught off guard. They had never expected Earth to possess such firepower, let alone use it with such deadly accuracy. "Return fire," the leader of the Galactic Council screamed, his voice filled with panic. "Activate the weapons. Engage at once." But it was too late. The human ships were relentless. Their weapons were too powerful, too precise. The remaining council ships attempted to retaliate, but Earth's fleet was already on the move, darting through space with unmatched agility. The supercarrier sent out more pulses of energy, wiping out entire squads of enemy ships with each shot. The destruction was swift, but controlled. Earth's forces were not just defending their planet. They were showing the Council that they were no longer the underdogs. The galaxy had underestimated Earth's strength, and now they would pay the price. In the chaos of battle, the Galactic Council's fleet began to retreat, their ships scattering across space in an attempt to escape the overwhelming might of Earth's forces. But the damage had already been done. The first strike had been a success, and Earth had made its point. The Galactic Council was no longer the dominant force in the galaxy. As the dust settled in the void of space, Earth's fleet took position. The supercarrier stood tall among the remains of the defeated Council ships, its hull scared but still powerful. The human fleet had proven its strength, and the message was clear. Earth would no longer be a planet to be ignored. The human leader stood at the command center, his eyes fixed on the stars ahead. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. The Galactic Council had been stunned, but they would not give up easily. The real fight had just begun. The Council's retaliation. The Galactic Council's fleet was in disarray. Earth had dealt them a blow that they had never anticipated, and the galaxy was now watching. News of the Earth's hidden military power had spread like wildfire, sending shockwaves throughout the known universe. The once proud and confident members of the Council were now faced with the harsh reality that their authority had been challenged. In the Council's command center, panic was setting in. Their fleet had suffered unimaginable losses in the first strike. Ships were destroyed, and the damage to their reputation was even more catastrophic. The high-ranking officials, once confident that Earth was a minor player, now found themselves scrambling to formulate a response. "We must act swiftly," Councillor Grom, one of the senior leaders, said as he slammed his fist onto the table. "We cannot let this stand. If we allow Earth to continue, we will lose our grip on the galaxy." "Agreed," replied another councillor, his voice low with fury. "But they have revealed their strength in a way we never imagined. They have weapons capable of obliterating entire fleets. How can we possibly defeat them?" Grom's eyes narrowed as he stared at the holographic map of the galaxy. "We have one advantage left: our superior numbers. We may have underestimated Earth, but now we know its true strength. We will use that knowledge to our advantage. Then we strike back with everything we have." A younger voice chimed in. "The fleet may be damaged, but we still have the firepower to crush them." Grom nodded grimly. "Prepare the reinforcements. Call in the reinforcements from the far sectors. This time, we will attack with overwhelming force. Earth will not survive." Meanwhile, far from the Council's reach, the human leader on Earth stood before a massive holographic map of the galaxy, his hands behind his back. He could feel the weight of the moment pressing on him. The first strike had been a success, but he knew the war was far from over. The Galactic Council would not allow Earth's challenge to go unpunished. His eyes scanned the map, focusing on the distant stars that now represented the threat of retaliation. He knew the Council would regroup and come for them. Earth's fleet was powerful, but it was not invincible. The next battle would test their resolve. A voice interrupted his thoughts. "Commander, reinforcements from the outer colonies are preparing to arrive." Should we deploy the fleet to meet them head-on? The leader turned, his expression grim but resolute. No, we've already shown them our strength. Now we need to be smart. We'll stay put, ready for their move. Earth is not just about power. We've got the strategy to win this war. But as he spoke, an alert flashed across the screen in front of him. The Council was mobilizing. Their retaliation had begun. The first wave of Galactic Council ships emerged from the darkness of deep space, their engines glowing brightly as they approached Earth's orbit. They were massive. Hundreds of ships, each more advanced and better armed than the ships they had previously fought. The Earth fleet, still battered from the first conflict, quickly assembled into defensive formation. But this time, there was no room for error. "Commander," the fleet officer called out, "they're coming in fast, and there are far more of them this time. We won't be able to hold out if they come all at once." The leader's eyes were fixed on the screen, the Council's ships closing in. They had made their move, and it was clear they intended to take Earth down once and for all. But the leader remained calm. This was no time for panic. "We have to divide their forces," he ordered. "Deploy our faster ships to engage them in smaller groups. Draw them in and hit them where it hurts. Let's show them that Earth doesn't just rely on brute strength." The plan was risky, but it was their best chance. Earth's fleet wasn't the largest, but it was certainly one of the most agile and well-coordinated. The leader knew that if they could lure the Galactic Council into a series of smaller battles, they could pick them off one by one. As the Council's fleet approached, the human ships moved quickly. Smaller ships darted in and out of the larger formations, drawing the Council ships into scattered engagements. Laser fire lit up the darkness of space as the battle raged on. Earth's fleet may have been outnumbered, but their tactics were proving to be highly effective. Council ships, once proud and menacing, now found themselves stretched thin, each one engaged in a deadly chase. Earth's smaller ships danced between larger enemy ships, launching targeted strikes and retreating before the Council could retaliate. Earth's fleet wasn't simply trying to fight. They were trying to survive long enough to turn the tables. The first skirmishes had been successful for Earth. Dozens of Council ships had been disabled, their power grids fried by well-placed laser blasts. But the tide was quickly turning. The Galactic Council had underestimated Earth's resolve, and now they were beginning to fight back in full force. Suddenly, a massive pulse of energy surged from the heart of the Galactic Council fleet. The shockwave was powerful enough to ripple through space, shaking the human fleet to its core. Earth's fleet was thrown into disarray. The damage was substantial. "We can't keep this up for long," the fleet officer reported, panic creeping into his voice. "Their weapons are more powerful than we anticipated." The leader stood firm, his resolve unshaken. "We hold the line. We cannot back down now. Earth's future is at stake." The turning point. The Galactic Council's full retaliation had begun, and Earth's fleet was facing its greatest challenge yet. The Council's ships, enormous and powerful, outnumbered Earth's fleet by a considerable margin. The first few exchanges had been chaotic, but now, as the battle continued to unfold, it became clear that the Council was intent on breaking Earth's resolve. The commander of Earth's fleet stood at the helm of the flagship, his eyes scanning the battlefield. His mind raced through possible strategies, but time was running out. The Council's relentless assault had already inflicted severe damage to Earth's defenses. Ship after ship from the Galactic Council surged forward, firing massive energy blasts that tore through space, leaving nothing but destruction in their wake. "Commander," a voice called from behind, "we've lost contact with the outer defense stations. Our main fleet is almost surrounded." The commander's heart sank, but he quickly pushed his emotions aside. Now was not the time for hesitation. The enemy was coming in fast and heavy, but Earth's fleet wasn't going down without a fight. He turned to face his officers. "Hold your ground. Do not retreat. We may be outnumbered, but we have one advantage: their underestimation of us. They think they can overwhelm us easily, but they are wrong. Another officer stepped forward, concern written on her face. "Sir, the reinforcements from our outer colonies are still several hours away. If we don't take control soon, we will be forced into a corner." The commander nodded grimly. "We need to buy time." Suddenly, the ship's radar flashed with a new signal. A lone figure approached. An Earth destroyer ship, one of their most formidable vessels, had just emerged from behind a nearby moon, undetected by the Council. It had been hiding, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The commander's eyes lit up. This was the opportunity they had been waiting for. "Deploy the destroyer," he ordered. "Now is the time to show them the true strength of Earth." The destroyer ship was Earth's greatest weapon, a symbol of their technological advancement and military might. It was a massive vessel, designed for long-range attacks with weapons capable of obliterating enemy fleets. Earth had kept it hidden until now, knowing that once deployed, it would be the game-changer they desperately needed. As the destroyer powered up, its massive guns glowing with the energy they had been charging, the human fleet made a strategic retreat. They pulled back, luring the Council ships deeper into their territory, into the trap they had set. The Galactic Council ships, unaware of the hidden threat, pursued the retreating Earth fleet. As they moved farther away from the main battle, the commander's voice rang out over the intercom. "Now, fire the main cannon." With a deafening roar, the destroyer's main energy cannon fired a single shot, an enormous burst of concentrated energy that tore through space, aimed directly at the heart of the Galactic Council's fleet. The blast was so powerful that it created a ripple in the fabric of space itself, sending shockwaves that reached even the farthest corners of the battlefield. The first Council ship to be hit was torn apart in an instant. It exploded in a fiery ball of energy. Its massive frame shattered into pieces. The blast continued, striking multiple ships in its path, each one suffering catastrophic damage. The Galactic Council fleet was thrown into chaos as they scrambled to defend themselves against the devastating force. "Direct hit. Their flagship is down," one of the officers shouted in astonishment. The battle had shifted in an instant. The Galactic Council, once confident and relentless, was now reeling from the devastating strike. The human fleet, sensing the shift in momentum, pressed forward. They launched wave after wave of counterattacks, targeting the vulnerable ships that had been left exposed by the Council's retreat. The commander watched as the enemy began to falter. The Council had underestimated Earth's capabilities, but now they were seeing just how powerful humanity had become. The commander's voice was steady as he gave the next orders. "Keep up the pressure. Do not let them recover. We're taking this fight to them now." The Galactic Council's pride had been shattered. Their fleet was no longer the unstoppable force it once was. The tide of the battle had turned, and it was clear that Earth was no longer the helpless species they had once thought it to be. But as the battle raged on, the commander knew that this victory wasn't yet certain. The Council would not go down easily. They would regroup, rebuild, and come at Earth with everything they had. But Earth had already shown them that they could not be underestimated. Humanity had proven that it could stand toe-to-toe with the might of the Galactic Council. And if the Council wanted to win, they would have to face the full wrath of Earth's military might, something they were no longer prepared for. The counterattack. The Galactic Council's retreat was temporary, and as the human fleet continued to press their advantage, the Council scrambled to reorganize. Despite the crippling damage their forces had sustained, they were not willing to accept defeat. The commander of Earth's fleet knew that this victory was merely a temporary reprieve. The Council would come back stronger, and they would be relentless in their pursuit of victory. In the heart of the battle, Earth's ships held their positions, their engines humming with power. The atmosphere in the command center was tense. Every officer was acutely aware of the gravity of the situation. Humanity had dealt a powerful blow, but they were not out of danger yet. "Commander," said one of the officers, her voice tense, "the Council's remaining forces are regrouping. They're not going to let this go easily. Their reinforcements are arriving. We need to prepare for another wave. The commander nodded, his face hardening. I know, but we have something they don't. The element of surprise. We've already shown them that we can hit hard. Now, we need to be ready to hit even harder. Just as the words left his mouth, the first of the Council's reinforcements appeared in the distance. Ships, massive in size, began to emerge from hyperspace, one by one, their weapons charging and ready. These were not the small, scattered ships that Earth had fought earlier. This was the heart of the Galactic Council's military might. Battle-hardened ships bristling with firepower. The commander didn't hesitate. He issued orders quickly, his voice calm but firm. All ships, prepare for the next wave. Focus on their lead ships. We'll break their formation first. As the Council ships charged forward, Earth's fleet advanced to meet them. The human ships, still recovering from their initial engagements, moved swiftly, their cannons aimed and ready. The commander had a single goal: disrupt the Council's formation and take down their command ships. If they could cripple the Council's leadership, the rest of the fleet would fall apart. The first few minutes of battle were a blur. Lasers and plasma bolts filled the space between the two fleets, creating an almost chaotic environment. Explosions rang out as Earth's ships collided with their adversaries, their shields absorbing the full force of the Council's assault. But the human fleet was not backing down. They pushed forward with fierce determination. Direct hit on their command ship, sir, one of the officers shouted. The commander's heart raced. That was exactly what they needed. With their leadership ship under attack, the Council's forces began to panic, their movements more erratic. The commander took a deep breath, knowing that now was the time to push forward. Keep it up. Focus on their communications and targeting systems. We cannot let them regroup. Another explosion rocked the battlefield as another one of the Council's ships fell. The human fleet, small in comparison, was starting to feel the weight of the conflict. But their resolve was stronger than ever. Humanity's victory was no longer just about survival. It was about proving to the rest of the galaxy that Earth's military power was not to be underestimated. Yet, as Earth gained ground, the commander knew that the battle was far from over. The Council's leadership had already begun to send reinforcements, and Earth's resources were not limitless. They had already used their surprise advantage, and now it was time to rely on everything they had learned from the years of preparation leading up to this war. Then, something unexpected happened. As Earth's ships began to gain the upper hand, a new fleet of Council ships emerged from an uncharted sector of space. These ships were unlike anything the humans had encountered before, sleek, fast, and brimming with advanced technology. What are those? One of the officers gasped, pointing at the unfamiliar ships. They're a new class, the commander replied, his voice tense. The Council has been hiding them. We're not facing their full strength yet. The new fleet was already in motion, quickly positioning itself between Earth's ships and the remaining Council forces. These advanced ships were equipped with weapons far beyond anything Earth's fleet had faced so far, and their speed made them difficult to target. This is bad, one of the officers said. They'd brought in their trump card. The commander's mind raced. The Council had just introduced an entirely new threat, and Earth's fleet was already stretched thin. Despite their earlier success, they were now in a fight for their very survival. Fall back, the commander ordered. We need to regroup and find a way to deal with these new ships. We're not giving up. Not now. The human fleet began to retreat, making careful but deliberate moves to pull back into their defensive positions. The advanced Council ships chased them, eager to crush Earth's forces once and for all. But Earth wasn't going to give up that easily. The commander was already plotting their next move. He knew that this was a turning point in the battle. The Council had just revealed a hidden weapon, but Earth had something they didn't: determination. Get me the rest of our fleet. We'll bring them back, the commander said. We're not finished. Not by a long shot. The final stand. The battle raged on in the cold expanse of space, The skies above Earth's fleet filled with streaks of plasma and laser fire. Every ship in the human fleet was pushing itself to the limit, their engines screaming as they tried to stay ahead of the Galactic Council's relentless forces. But despite the overwhelming odds, Earth's fleet had not surrendered. Not yet. Commander Mason stood on the bridge of the flagship, eyes fixed on the holoscreen. The newly introduced fleet of Council ships, sleek and faster than anything humanity had encountered before, were hot on their heels. The advanced technology they wielded seemed impossible to counter, and Earth's forces were running low on energy and ammunition. But Mason wasn't ready to give up. "We can't retreat forever," he muttered, clenching his fists. "We need to turn this around." The officers around him worked feverishly, trying to keep their fleet intact. The communications officer, a young woman named Lieutenant Carter, looked up from her station. "Commander, if we don't do something soon, we'll be surrounded. Their new ships are too fast for us to outrun." Mason knew she was right. The enemy was closing in, and if Earth's fleet didn't find a way to gain the upper hand, it was all over. But in the midst of the chaos, Mason's mind was racing. He had one last card to play, a final move that could either be their salvation or their doom. "Call in the reserve fleet," he said, voice steady. "All ships, prepare for one final attack. We fight for Earth, for every man, woman, and child who will never see another sunrise if we fail." The crew looked to him with a mix of disbelief and determination. The reserve fleet wasn't as powerful as the frontline ships, but it was still humanity's hidden strength. The ships had been designed for a situation like this, and now they were Earth's last hope. With a series of orders sent through the comm system, the reserve fleet jumped into the fray. These ships were not as fast or advanced as the Council's newest ships, but they had one major advantage: raw firepower. They were heavily armored and heavily armed, capable of taking on almost anything in a direct fight. They would take the Council ships head-on. As the new fleet emerged from hyperspace, Mason's voice echoed through the ship. "We don't stop. Not for anything. All ships, lock onto enemy command centers. If we take down their leadership, the rest will fall apart. We've done it before. We'll do it again." A chorus of affirmations rang through the comms as the human fleet gathered its strength. They were facing overwhelming odds, but their spirits remained unbroken. The battle for Earth had become a battle for survival, and humanity would not be crushed. The reserve fleet opened fire first, unleashing torrents of heavy lasers and missiles at the incoming Council ships. The Council fleet was momentarily stunned by the sheer power of the assault, but they quickly retaliated, unleashing their advanced weapons with deadly precision. Earth's ships absorbed the hits, their shields flickering but holding strong. Direct hit on their command ship. Lieutenant Carter shouted as a burst of energy lit up the screen. "One of their flagship shields is down." Mason's heart raced. This was it. If they could disable their leadership ships, they could destabilize the entire Council fleet. It was humanity's one shot at victory. "All ships, focus on their command vessels," the commander ordered, his voice full of urgency. "We finish this now." The battle reached its peak. Earth's ships closed in on the Council's flagships, targeting their vulnerable spots. Explosions erupted across the battlefield as missiles and lasers found their marks. The Council fleet tried to regroup, but the damage was done. For every ship that fell, another human ship took its place, determined to fight for the future of Earth. Their spirit, their resilience, was unmatched. The Council's advantage was slipping away as their command ships fell, one by one. "Another flagship down, Commander," Lieutenant Carter announced, her voice cracking with excitement. "They're losing control of their forces." The enemy fleet began to falter, their formations breaking apart as the loss of leadership ships caused confusion in their ranks. It was chaos, and Earth's fleet seized the moment. With one final push, Earth's remaining forces launched a coordinated attack. The last of the Council's major warships exploded in a brilliant display of light, signaling the collapse of the enemy's command structure. The remaining ships scattered, no longer able to coordinate their attacks. As the dust settled, Commander Mason stood in awe, his eyes wide with disbelief. The Galactic Council, the once unstoppable force that had threatened Earth, was now retreating. Humanity had won. Mason looked to his crew, their faces a mixture of exhaustion and triumph. "We did it," he said, his voice soft but resolute. "We've shown the galaxy what Earth is capable of. We've earned our place among the stars." The humans had fought with everything they had. They had faced insurmountable odds, and yet they had come out victorious. The Galactic Council, once so confident in their superiority, had underestimated Earth's strength, its resolve, and its ability to fight back. As the human fleet turned back toward Earth, Mason knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. Earth was not a planet to be overlooked, and the story of their victory would echo across the stars for generations to come.